In this video, I want to share with you the key principles of building wealth and abundance. You're going to learn how to think and act in a certain way so that you're able to manifest more wealth and abundance in your life. This book, The Science of Getting Rich, was written by Wallace D. Wattles in 1903, over 120 years ago. And yet it still inspires and motivates so many people to build wealth. In fact, the book and documentary called The Secret, which I'm sure you've heard of, by Rhonda Burns, she said that this very book is what inspired her to go ahead and create that, and combined, it's grossed 300 million. And so it's added so much value to so many people. And I'd love to share with you these principles so that you're also inspired and get value from them. My name is Yvonne and welcome to my channel. This channel is all about personal growth and leveling up to be the best version of ourselves so that we can really increase the quality of our life. So if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button to join the community. Thinking in a certain way starts with thought. So let's talk about thought for a little bit. You see, thought is a creative energy. Everything you see around you started with a thought. For example, this coffee cup that I have in my hand. It started with somebody somewhere thinking, gee, I'd love to really inspire and motivate people with beautiful designs, maybe in a coffee cup. And that thought, maybe they mulled over it for a while, but it triggered certain activities and events that allow me to really hold this cup in my hand and really enjoy it. And it's become my favorite cup. But if you really pick anything around you, you'll really be able to attribute the core source of its existence to thought. So that brings me to the point where, if there's anything you see around you that you don't like, then it's reasonable to say that, we'll need to upgrade our thinking. Change our thinking to something that is going to serve you so that the results of your thoughts are really in line with your expectations. So that brings me to the next point, which is high level thinking. Creation doesn't exist outside of us. You don't pick something and create it. No, you start with the inside. You start with thought. Thought is the seed. And what you see around you is the plant, is the results, right? What's the outside. So having said that, let's be honest, a lot of us base our expectations on our circumstances, on the environment, on the conditions around us. But I'm going to challenge you to really step back and base your expectations on the unseen, on your spiritual superpowers. Spiritual in that it's not physical, you can't see it. And this is your higher mental faculties, your ability to think. For instance, your imagination. Use your imagination to really think about and identify, get really clear on what it is you want. And then you use your will to stay focused, laser focused, regardless of external appearances and what everything else is saying, focusing on what it is that you want. See, combine these two really will be your superpower to create things. That is your seed. That leads me to the next point, which is partnering with the source of creation. It's reasonable to say that if you want wealth and abundance, then it makes sense to partner with the source of wealth and abundance. And that source energy is God. In the book, he mentions this statement over and over again, like a creed statement. And he says we should meditate on this. And this brings home the point. This is what it says. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills all the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing imagined by the thought. Man can form things with his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing that he thinks about to be created. That's a beautiful statement if you really think about it. Thought is very, very powerful because it ultimately originates with this source energy. If you think of science, Einstein, right? He had that famous formula, E = mc². And what does that mean? Well, that matter is energy, and energy is what produces matter. And so everything around us, every object, even the air, if you think about it, has molecules, right? And the molecules at its lowest level is atoms, atomic energy. Atoms are created with protons, neutrons, electrons. Newtonian physics says it was particles. Now quantum physics clarifies that these are waveforms. This is just energy, okay? Air is matter, okay? It takes up space and has weight. And our bodies as well. Our bodies are ultimately made of cells. Cells at its lowest level also have atoms, okay? And we bring it down to the lowest form, absolutely everything, if we kind of think about it that way, at the lowest level is energy. So this is the fabric of our life. So now that we've identified, okay, that everything is energy from a science perspective, let's go to the next scientist, which is Nikola Tesla. He shared a very famous quote that says, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Everything is energy. So the question becomes, how do we use this energy to be able to create, okay, what we want? How do I get into the frequency, right, of creation? How do I create and manifest more? Well, you want to get into that frequency, that same frequency that the creative source energy is in. Okay, you want to be in harmony with creative source. And we get there through the frequency. You know, emotions have frequency. In fact, David Hawkins, PhD and MD, does a lot of research on the frequency of emotions. There are low frequency emotions like fear, anger, okay, and sadness. And there's high frequency emotions like love, joy, and gratitude. And so it makes sense that if we want to create and we want to partner with the source energy, the source of abundance and wealth, we want to know what frequency, you know, that intelligence is at. Well, the Book of Wisdom says God is love. It is a high frequency. So we want to get to that high frequency. And so we get there through gratitude. You see, when we have a grateful mind, we expect good things. Gratitude produces faith. In fact, the Book of Wisdom says that faith is the assured expectation of what is hoped for, the evident demonstration of realities that are not seen. And so faith is born of gratitude. See, when we expect good things, we become in harmony of good things, and we experience good things around us as a result. So another way of thinking of faith is feeling. You know, when we're feeling good and we're certain, you know, then that really allows us to really bring that about. So you need to move forward with an unwavering belief and unwavering faith so that you're able to bring that about into your life. Now, if you are in fear, however, and you're resonating with fear, then that's not a creative state. And, you know, you'll get into that kind of vibration based on different things, you know, that you tune into. For instance, what music are you tuning into? Is it sad? Is it full of fear? Is it angry? Then guess what? Just like a tuning fork, you're resonating at that. Or the news, for instance. Are you watching the programming that's happening in the news? Because it's all negative. And so that's what you're resonating with. Or the people that you hang around. Are they complaining and negative? Because guess what? You're tuning into that. You're not in a creative state. You can't get FM music on AM frequency. In fact, this radio that I have here, you know, there's two dials here. There's AM and FM. So if you're an AM, for instance, you can, you know, dial this little thing all you want. You're not going to get FM music. No way, no how. Okay. So if you are in fear, if you're an angry, you know, person, or if you're in sadness, watching the news, hang around people complaining and listening to the kind of music that keeps you sad and depressed and low, there's no way you're going to be in a creative state. What do you have to do? Well, you switch to the FM frequency. Okay. And then you're able to listen to the FM music. Okay. That's an example that you can't straddle two fences. You can't watch the news every day, be in the resonated frequency of negativity, and then think that you're going to create in a positive flow state. You may be creating, but you're creating in anxiety, in stress, and you've got autoimmune diseases to show for it. Maybe hair loss, low energy, living off caffeine. So there are symptoms that show and prove to you that you're not in a creative flow state. So you want to get into the frequency of creation and be in harmony with the source energy, which is a high frequency. So we talked about thinking a certain way. Let's switch gears and talk about acting in a certain way. You see, when we talk about certain way, there's two definitions here. One is to be sure, to be certain, to have unwavering belief. This is how I'm going to act. And also to a certain way in a sequence, right? A way you go about things, kind of like following a recipe, right? So like when you're baking a cake, you're following the recipe, and the recipe is telling you all the ingredients that you need to put in a certain way, in a sequence. First, you put the dry stuff, then you put the liquids, you mix them all together. Now you butter the pan, now you pour it. That's a sequence. That's a certain way. But as you make that, you're sure that it's going to be a delicious cake. That's how we want to act. In a certain sequence of activities, but then also with a sureness about the way we're acting. There's 5 ways that we can act that I pulled from this book. The first one is being in a collaborative state. We want to collaborate, not compete. And if you think about competition and competing inherently, is a low vibration way of thinking, because it's really moving in a way of lack, right? If you're competing for something, then, by definition, there's less. There's not so much available, right? You're competing there's only one winner. Okay, but when you're collaborating, we're all winners. You're in the frequency of that's high frequency, because you're knowing that there's an abundance. There's more than enough for everyone. Okay, and the way we do that, for instance, it leads us to a lot more possibilities and potential. I was just talking to my brother the other day. He's a personal trainer and he wants to up level his business. And he's, talking to me about how other personal trainers are really working at the level he wants to. And I says, well, why don't you take them out to lunch or take them out for coffee and tell them that you want to be mentored and maybe coached by them? He says, I don't know if that's the right thing, because they're going to think that I'm going to be competing with them. I said, you're not going to be competing with them. There's more than enough for everyone. You're collaborating. You see what becomes possible and what doors are opened when you're thinking in terms of collaborating versus competing. The other point is, he mentions really taking efficient action. So you want to partner your thinking with action. What does that mean? That means every day, be productive. Find a strategy that works for you and do it consistently. For instance, maybe a strategy for you that works is very simple. Write down 3 things you want to achieve every day. And at the end of the day, make sure you achieve them. Boom, boom, boom. These are the 3 things I want to achieve today. And you get that and you focus 100%, and then you move on to the next day, same thing. Very simple. But there's also other more complex and pretty strategies out there that you can incorporate for time management and for higher and efficient productivity. I encourage you, find what works for you and stick to it, because you want to act in an efficient way and make the best use of your time. The third point he brings up is getting specialized. And what that means really is we want to work in optimal excellence. We want to work in such a way that we really become the best in what we do. And that's because we put our heart into it. We are passionate about what we do. So, if your job is in information technology and you're in a certain sector, then you are understanding and you're taking all the training to really understand your craft and get really good at it so that you become the best and that you're operating in excellence. When you excel, you can go only one place, which is up, right? You will find success, or success will find you. Okay, and so the fourth is really give more in use value than cash value. And what he means by this really is give value in whatever product or service you're in. So a simple example is this book. Maybe it can cost $15 at retail. You can get it used for way less than that. In fact, Rhonda Burns got it for free as a gift. So the cash value of this book is maybe $15, but the use value, she was able to extract $300 million out of this, $15 investment. So same thing for you. You can, for instance, offer a course that's a certain, amount in cash value, but the use value, what the person can really extract and become when they apply those skills, can really allow them to make millions. And so that is in practice what's shared in terms of acting in a certain way. And then lastly is the impression of increase, which ultimately means we want to leave people better off than how we found them. We want to really leave a positive impression. And how we do that can be quite simple. It can be a smile, right? Or a compliment that's done in integrity and honesty. It can be, when we're sitting in traffic or when we're standing in line in the grocery store. Really giving that impression or that feeling of increase, which is just feeling good. Right? Making in a reasonable way, we ensure that those around us are feeling good about themselves, feeling good about being with us, right? And that's the impression of increase. And see, when we apply these, we would certainly be acting in a certain way. And so in conclusion, I really hope you got a lot of value, a lot of great insight and ideas, and you feel motivated from watching this video and you're able to incorporate this into your life. And so I also want to share with you that I've put together a money mastery program that's really there to support you to continue on your journey to building wealth and abundance in your life. In fact, there's two parts to this course program, and there's the psychology of money, and then there's practical steps in terms of core investment strategies and personal finance principles. But really, what stops people from gaining wealth and abundance is their limiting beliefs, right? Or any blockers that they have because of their relationship with money. So that's what I start with in this course, which is, what is your money psychology? In fact, here's just a workbook. And so that's chock full of so much information in this workbook that you're going to get in the course. Click on the link below to go ahead and enroll. It's really going to support you to get to that next level. If wealth and abundance is what you're looking for, the Money Mastery Program is for you. So I'll see you there, and be sure to remember to subscribe so you're notified on new videos, and I'll see you on the next one.